Hey everybody, it's Tom from Target Prime Rib. How's everybody doing today? I am here with my friend Tim from Walker to Walking, and he is going to tell us his story today. I'm pretty honored to have you, Tim. How are we doing?
I'm doing quite well. I'm really excited. I know we set this date up in July, and it was like, oh, it couldn't come fast enough. And today it was like getting out of work right on
Yeah.
time. You know, fighting those lights on the way home. But yeah, it's good to be here. Good to be here.
I mean, it's amazing how fast time goes by. Though it's like you're like, oh, I can't wait, but the time just like zooms right by so fast. It's not even funny. Like I'm booked up until like January 20th now with so many other people, and it's amazing how many people are healing or that are connected to the carnivore diet. Um, it's immense.
Most
Right now, we just have one person here. I don't know why Sandy's the only person in, but I'm sure other people will join us.
that's
So,
no worry.
tell us. Uh, I guess just go right into it. Before you start, though, I just want to tell you too. I didn't say anything before. I've been having internet issues, so just like for Adam. So I'm sure you can handle it if like I freeze or something like that. Um,
Yeah,
but just so I'm getting it fixed, I'm getting it fixed like in like 3 days. Unfortunately, I didn't want to change anything with us because with my work and your work and everything, it just was easier just to keep it on.
yeah,
Mark Johnson just joined us. I don't know if you know who Mark is, but he's actually in Healing Humanity. So,
excellent.
hey, Mark, how you doing? We'll get a few people to join us. You'll be surprised. and so from there, tell us tell us about yourself.
Well, I was going to actually ask you how you're doing, and um, I've been looking at some of your videos, and it almost seems like you're getting discouraged a little bit, or am I misreading that?
Sometimes I do. I mean, it's part of the journey. I my encouragement comes from doing these things. So I like doing these interviews and doing these live. So I get pretty encouraged when that happens. But sometimes, yeah. Right now I'm good. But there are times like I do get a little discouraged. So I do appreciate that you see that for what it is at that time. Um, but I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing actually very well. I'm starting to get more used to working. I have to keep it. I have to keep it back because I don't want to. I can't lose. Because I'm starting this program called the Ticket to Work program, and where it allows me to work as many hours as I want without losing my benefits. But
Excellent.
my counselor that's involved with me thinks that doesn't want me to start until January. So right now I still have to stick to 16 hours until January, and so I'm trying to get my body acclimated to working long hours.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's taken time, but every once in a while, like I was a little discouraged about this new drug I'm taking that was recommended from Dr. Nelson and my friend Lewis, which I think you know both of them.
Mhm.
And they recommended Manjaro, and I was a little skeptical at first, and things were not happening the way I'd like them to have happened. But now things are starting to um, go in. Like my sugars are starting to maintain again, and they're starting to. And I think that this is going to actually work pretty well for me. So, but every once in a while, you do get some discouragements. You get like I started off with like in a very depressed state.
Mhm.
And I don't want to talk too much about myself because this is for you. This is about you. But you do. You start off like kind of depressed when you first start this journey, and that um, I'm so much better now than I was. But part of the journey is to tell the full story, bad and good. And
Agreed.
like we don't hold back here.
Yeah, and there's one more point, and then I'll get going on my story. Um, Another thing I noticed in um, the videos I've seen on Target Prime Rib was
Mhm.
your work schedule. You were doing like a third shift, if I remember correctly. Did you change that, or are you still doing like the third shift?
Yeah. Yeah, no, no. Now it's well, it changes. It's not really consistent, but normally it's I now I work. I'm only working 12 hours right now, and he's trying to figure out, trying to get me that fourth day. But right now I only work four hours a day at 3 days a week, basically. And I think he's doing that because he wants to be able to, if somebody calls out the last minute, to kind of like throw me in at the last minute on another day. But which for me, I guess if that is what it is, and that's, I mean, obviously I prefer 16 hours over 12 because of this,
Yeah, but
but
your work
you know,
schedule, your start and stop, is that still third shift, or did it shift to like the morning of a first shift
first,
or first? Okay.
first shift from
Um,
6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Yeah,
yeah, there's a reason I'm asking because um, I was badly
because of the sleep
depressed.
deprivation, basically.
Yeah, I was badly depressed before um, coming on carnivore and everything. Um, and one of the things when I was working with Coach Rebecca was the circadian rhythm. Um, so, like, sleep is ultra essential, important, and the better um, circadian rhythm you have, the healthier it is for you. One of the things she
Right.
enlightened me on was that the 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is a window where there's like uh, three hormones: the growth hormone, um, uh, I forget the other two, but anyways, there's three hormones that the majority of the production is 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. As long as you're resting, it's going to happen. If you're eating really late, like say 10 p.m., and you have insulin spike and you have insulin response, I mean, a sugar spike and an insulin response, all of a sudden now you've negated that window. That's going to affect you. You know what I'm saying? And I did notice a difference
Right.
when I
Yeah, no,
started going to bed at 9 p.m. and sleeping through that window. The other thing is getting sunlight
okay.
in the morning and at night. I could only get it at night. I notice a difference when I do that, and the blue light as well. I have actually a red light bulb that I have in my lamp, so that at night I can just turn that on. I can see stuff, but it doesn't adversely affect me with the blue light. Um, so, anyways, that
Okay.
circadian rhythm makes all the difference to me for how much energy I have.
Yeah, no, I mean that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I do get plenty. I get better sleep now, and like I said, I mean, every once in a while you have your good days and your bad days, and I try to, like I really don't do the videos that much anymore. I try putting them out. I try to do my exercises because people do seem to like that. Even though I'd rather just, I mean, not to be, I love doing my exercise videos, but at the same time, I just like to keep on doing my videos. And you sort of have to stop the video because to put music to it, you have to have it no longer than a minute. Like it has to be less than a minute in order to put music to it on YouTube. So it's kind of like,
Yeah,
so, so when you guys see me just doing five squats, I'm not just doing five squats. I'm doing more than that, but I'm just for the camera, I'm doing five. So I'm just looking at the chats. I see Aaron Booby Goats just joined us, and Terry, My Terrific Life, joined us too, and a few other people. So I told you it's gonna start building up, and You know, we're probably going to have a lot of people after a while, and you know, but no, I mean, I'm glad you asked me that. I'm glad you asked me that question. So thank you for that. Uh,
You're welcome.
so no problem. And it shows me that you are watching my videos, so that's always good. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Um, yeah, I was getting a little, and I'll admit, I was getting a little depressed too because one of the things, you know, like I want to keep this. I was not sure about if I start doing more hours at work, if I have to like stop doing the Zoom calls, stop doing the community, stop doing this. I was like, you know, I get worried about stuff that's stupid to worry about, and you know, it's like whatever happens, happens. You know, it's like you can't really keep on worrying about this stuff. But
Hmm.
I thought like, okay, I might have to get rid of my lives because at that time I only had up until like October 20th or something like that, or October 28th. So I had nobody to come on my show, right? So I'm like, okay, well, no one wants to come on. I'm like advertising, no one wants to come on, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it went from October 28th all the way to January 20th. Like people just started volunteering, and I'm just like, oh, cool, you know. So, and I have a pretty good lineup coming up, you know, uh, just to name two, I have Russ Mitchell from Homesick Buckeye, and he's going to be coming on actually next on my birthday. He's coming on September 20th, and then Dave Mack himself is going to be coming on like 3 days after that. So it's pretty surreal, you know, and so I look at that, but sometimes I do get like I do forget when I'm getting good, and you sort of like you get a little depressed because certain things are not happening for you, and you're like, oh, why is this not happening and stuff like that. But then you look at all the good things that are happening and all the achievements that are happening, and you start to feel better about yourself, and you do. And I think that goes with any one of us. I really do. I think we all get into that little depression, you know, just that, you know, like why is my A1C not where it should be by now? Why is this person doing so much better? Why, you know, and you get into this rut, you know, and then and then, you know, it's funny, like now I like a lot of these people that have like better A1C so quickly, I listen to some of them and I'm like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. You know, because like I had one guy one time say that he was like a 13.7 or something like that, and he went down to a 4.1 in like 3 weeks. There's no way. First off, you test your sugars every, you know, so how would you even know that you went that low? Okay. And then I had another guy in a chat that was claiming, now both of them were in my chat, they were on somebody else. I think it was Kerry Mann and one was Bell or something like that.
Yeah.
And the other guy was like, yeah, I had an A1C of 25.6. Last time I checked, the 25.6 is about 700 sugar. If you have a 700 sugar, you're probably going to be in the hospital. If
Um,
not like totally, you know, there's no way you can go to a 700 sugar and actually be able to walk around and function. There's no way. You know, I had a 450 at one point, and I had a hard time moving around. Can you imagine 700 to 800? You know, I just can't see it being possible. So I'm like, okay, some of these people are exaggerating. You know, like not to be mean, and I don't mean to downgrade their progress, but you don't have, you know, like if you went from an 8 point, like me, if you went from 8.9 to 6.2 in 8 months, you should celebrate that. You should be good with that. And
exactly,
that's what,
exactly. Because what we need to do, at least I know for myself, is to remember the milestones. You know, um,
yeah.
because it's so easy to get caught up in the now. I want it now. You know, I want my A1C to be down to the 5 point whatever that it needs to be, but it's not. Why does it this guy over here in 3 weeks he just goes whiz bang and he's perfect, you know? Um, Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in what other people are doing, and get discouraged and let that little depression try to wedge in there. But this is where the community is really important. Is when you do
Yeah,
your non-scale victories in a public forum in a community, they can remind you like, oh yeah, I remember this, remember that, and all of a sudden like, you're right. What am I worried about? Why am I depressed? Why am I? Because I'm not where I used to be,
exactly,
not even
exactly.
close.
I mean, yep. I mean, I always say now, not then, but now. I always say, so. Oh, we got two more people in. Oh, I'm not sure who Where's the Beef is, so I like to find out who actually is Where's the Beef. And then Josephine C. and Juliet Keto Carnivore Edens just joined us. So hello, girls. Um, but no, I mean, people look at carnivore as like this is my goal. Like my goal is to do this, and I did the same thing. My goal was, and I still want to go down to 5.4 or lower, but I know my journey is not over with that goal. I know I'm going to keep on going. I know things are going to keep on healing as long as I
Correct.
stay with where I'm at. And my
Correct.
my journey, and that's what this is. It's not the destination. It's the journey.
Yes. Yes.
Carnivore's the journey. It's not the destination. And the more
And
we've destroyed ourselves in the past, the longer that journey is going to be.
yes. And the thing of it is, healing is not linear. For some, it might be, but I know for
Yeah.
myself, like you said, you have some better days than others, ups and downs. Um, but as long as you're consistent. But regardless, let me go ahead and start my story. As you could probably,
Of course.
if you see my YouTube name, it'll be Tim, and I have a moniker there from Walker to Walking. And that's kind of my story. Because a lot of times people will ask, oh, what really brought you to carnivore? It was health, but I was in just a dire strait. Um, I had suffered traumatic brain injury because I went headfirst into a foundation, and a whole host of things happened from migraines, um, sensitivity to light, sensitivity to sound, anxiety. It just like uh, if a flash would happen, I'd go into a full blown anxiety attack. It was just really horrible. And my poor wife, and I used to uh, wear my sunglasses at night. Sounds like a song. But, anyways, I wear my sunglasses and I got these uh, special type that has shields on either side, and they're opaque so that nothing can come in from the sides either. And that's the only way I could um, not go into anxiety was to have those sunglasses. And it was just a horrible way of living. Um, Also, my energy was below crap. I don't know if that's a bad word or not, but it's like, some people say, how do you feel? Like, oh, I feel like crap. And it's like, I was below that. Literally, I would go to work and there was 6 stairs, and it's like the Olympics. I'd actually have to go like I was doing a clean jerk and a press, you know, every stair. And it was all internal. Um, and I could sleep for 14 hours and wake up tired. Obviously, I have sleep apnea and other stuff. Um, that's what brought me to carnivore, because I went to my doctor and said, okay, something's wrong. And my whole family has health issues. My dad died in his 60s. uh, from bone cancer. My mom died in her 60s from heart condition. My brother died at 60, my oldest brother, due to liver issue. Um, and I was headed down that same road. I was headed down that same road. And I'm thinking, wow, there must have been something in our environment where we grew up or something that is making us all sick. I don't know what it is. So I went to the doctor and just did test after test, this after that, thousands of dollars. And they concluded, we have no idea. Today I know what it was, a metabolic issue. And unfortunately, AMA either ignores or just doesn't know metabolic symptoms and stuff. But that's what got me into carnivore because I'm a Christian carnivore. Um, and my wife and I, um, we just said, let's pray about this. How do we figure out what's going on? And she does a lot with the internet and whatnot. And she did a deep dive and came up with, wow, this carnivore thing looks pretty good. Let's try that. And wound up looking at like Ken Berry in his videos and whatnot. And so we went full carnivore. And lo and behold, the first year was like, wow, I lost 40 pounds. My A1C went down to like 6.0. It was like 7.9. So, so on and so forth. So, and the energy was better. So I'm going, this is the right path. And then for the next 2 years, so that's a total of three, I wound up going OMAD because I was just satiated with the meat. And it was really convenient because you only have to eat once a day. And I wasn't really hungry. So why not? But I really stalled at my waist size was like 54 inches at the time. And I couldn't figure out, why am I stalled? Why am I on this plateau? And again, we prayed about it. And that's what I believe the Lord just led us to Steak and Butter Gang. And I started corresponding with Bella and others. And they're saying, you're probably under eating. It's like, what? I'm over 300 pounds and I'm overeating because I was still of the mindset that restriction is good. I didn't even fathom um, what metabolic issues were going on and how to fix them. So it was through SBG that my mindset went from, oh, I got to lose the weight to I got to get healthy. So that was a big mindset change, and the mindset change of um, not under eating, get rid of that literally brainwashing and programming of restriction is a good thing. Less is more, and it just turned out to be totally false. And so I went into the priming protocol that is at SBG, and all of a sudden, the light sensitivity, my migraines, my sound sensitivity, my anxiety, and a bunch of other stuff just dissipated within 6 weeks of priming. Now, most people are priming 2 to 4 weeks per the calendars, but I knew right from the get-go I wasn't going to be able to follow the calendars exactly. I needed to get through the first step first. And in talking with Raymond, who was one of the coaches there on some of their live calls, uh, figured out, yeah, just keep on priming because some people could, like Bella did it for like 6 months. So maybe I need to be 6 months. So I was like 8 months into it, and I wasn't getting any of the signals that people were talking about. Oh, yeah, I got so full, I couldn't eat another bite and I was going to get ill and all this other stuff. I never had that. I never had that. And, you're supposed to eat until you're comfortably stuffed. And I know what that is because Thanksgiving comes once a year and I know exactly what comfortably stuffed means. So I was doing that for 8 months. And I actually gained 6 inches in my waist. So I went up to 60-inch waist. But the thing of it is, my osteoarthritis that I had pain 24/7 with, bone spurs, all of a sudden the pain is not there anymore. Sure, I can tweak my knee and hurt it, but just normal walking around. When I came to SBG, this is where my moniker comes from. I had suffered an injury at work, and I needed a walker to get around because of the tremendous pain my knees were in. And after the priming, like 6 weeks, all of a sudden I didn't need the walker. I just used the cane, and then a few more weeks go by, and I don't need the cane. And I got a vibration plate where that helped my core strength. I could, stand up on it eventually. Uh, anyway, that's another story. And all these non-scale victories happened because of the priming protocol, and it was like, wow. And the best I can figure is priming reset my metabolism and filled my nutrient tank, because when I was doing OMAD for 2 years, okay, I was telling my body there was no food, that you're in a famine state. So it was just storing things and just getting by. Because, one meal you can get a fair amount of protein and stuff. So, but after the 8 months, I wasn't getting any signals to like stop priming. But I kind of knew like, it should be a little bit different because I'm growing the 6 inches, and I'm not happy, but I'm not unhappy either. I'm at that middle point where I'd rather be healthy, out of pain with a 60-inch waist than be in constant pain using a walker with a 54-inch. And the difference was the nutrients to help heal and help build back what needs to be built. So I said, okay, now I'm at a second plateau in this priming journey that I'm doing. And I said, I should get some coaching. So again, we prayed about it, and we went with Rebecca Heichman, and highly recommend her. It's amazing, just amazing. One of the things she says, and I've adopted, is, God's my healer and meat's my medicine. And if you haven't seen her story, look her up on YouTube. It's amazing. She had 10 autoimmune issues that she was able to reverse and completely get away from. She had the exact opposite issue, which is the beauty of carnivore. It optimizes your weight. Doesn't matter if you need to gain it or lose it. And she was 69 pounds. That's like Auschwitz level physique. and it just emaciated. And anyways, a lot of the stuff she had almost killed her,
Yeah,
and it just turned around.
yeah.
So anyway,
I love talking about that.
yes, and she's very knowledgeable. Because
Yeah,
when I
she's
was
incredible lady.
yeah, when I was looking for the coach, every time I heard her and I would watch some videos and um, her being interviewed on different platforms, it was like she knows more than all the doctors I know, and because she understands the metabolic side of things as well as other stuff, and she basically um, figured out that I was not getting a leptin response, and I don't know how she did it, but I started thinking about it, and she was asking me some questions. I go, I don't ever remember having that satiated or whatever response unless it was like Thanksgiving where you comfortably stuffed. So what I was actually doing, I was filling my stomach to the point where it would stretch, and that was my satisfying signal. Was once my stomach stretched, and that doesn't lead to good places, but it did fill my
Yeah,
nutrient tank. Um, so with the leptin response, it's supposed to cut that off before you're stretching your stomach, and your body will tell you what it needs and when it needs it. And to this day, I still don't have a leptin response. So what Rebecca did for me is she developed a little program. I've heard it other places too, but just the way she put it was fantastic. Um, I, I was eating um, macronutrient grams of protein, MNG, like 400 grams a day. And doing that for 8 months, it's literally like programming your body to try to get to 400 pounds. And I was almost there. Um, and so now I'm eating 190 macronutrient grams of protein. And what surprised me was, and I'm not hungry, you know, and that was the first thing is like, and I'm not hungry because I was so used to stretching my stomach for my satiation, not knowing that it wasn't a leptin response. It was just now I'm eating literally half as much, which is not restricting, it is targeting. Okay. And I'm not hungry. So it is exactly what my body needed. Um, the other part is the fat to protein ratio. Now, I know people have asked on your videos, what do you mean 2 to 1 fat to protein? Literally, I'm eating 190 MNG, macronutrient grams of protein. That means I'm going to target 380 MNG of fat. Now, when I look at the nutrient facts on the back of a box of hamburgers, the type I get is like a 75-25, something like that, where it's 28 grams of um, fat and 19 grams of protein. So if I do times 10, because I eat 10 to get 190, that's only 280. So I need to get another 110 on top of that to get a 2 to 1. So I add fat with the meal to do that. And it's pretty exciting. Once I figured out I could get to that 2 to 1, um, other things started to heal. That's kind of neat. Um, so that brings me to the second plateau and going through the coach, figuring out what's going on, and working the program. Now, today, it's actually, I was talking with Thomas earlier off camera and asking him how things are going. And then on camera, he was talking about getting depressed and everything. That's probably one of the bigger things I deal with, is seeing other people's successes um, sooner than myself. And it can be discouraging. But like I said, I just go to the Lord, and He just gives me like verses and whatnot, where, be not weary in well doing, for in due season you shall reap if you faint not. And every time I think about it, it's like, wow, where was I? I was literally needing a walker. Today I don't need it. When I first started, where I was working in February of uh, 2024, I was using a cane. And if I would go 100 feet, I was out of breath. Now I can do like 1,000 feet and not be a problem without a cane. So that's tremendous. Not having the light sensitivity and the anxiety I used to have, not having.
But I also remember.
Go ahead. Oh,
I'm sorry about that. No, I just wanted to mention that I remember when you were in SPG, you sending pictures of you actually shoveling the snow when we had the bad snowstorms. So, I
correct.
mean, you were able to shovel to your car. You were able to shovel your car. I remember that. I remember seeing those pictures.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
It, not in my wildest dreams that I think I would be shoveling snow again. And it got to a point, and again, I wasn't fast, and I wasn't the biggest guy in the block, so to speak, but I was able to shovel just enough for our little Toyota Camry, and that was it. But um, tremendous, tremendous.
Yeah, definitely. All right, sorry about that. I didn't interrupt. I just needed to
Yeah,
mention that because I didn't know if you remembered doing those pictures or not. I'm sure you did.
yeah, yeah. One of the things that you learn is sowing and reaping. It's an agricultural term where you take a seed and you sow it into the ground. Usually you plow and everything and prep, and then you wait and you water and you do all that you need to do, and then it'll sprout, it'll grow up, and eventually it will bear whatever. If it's corn, corn, and tomato, tomato, so on and so forth. And if you think about that, when you sow something, you reap later than you sow, more than you sow. And it's like, oh, so you're not going to get an immediate response, because I know I did the American Standard Diet that um, for decades and decades. Sowing what that did has got me to where I was. Now using meat as my medicine is getting me to a different place. And my body, it's amazing that it's, in the Psalms it says we're fearfully and wonderfully made, that we're literally designed to take animal protein and animal fat and to self heal, build, and rebuild if necessary, to get rid of, if you will, bad mitochondria, and rebuild new ones. Like suet has stearic acid in it, and consuming that, it'll take damaged mitochondria, sorry, and take like two and make one out of it, one good one. So it's not only getting rid of what's damaged, but it's making new. It's amazing what our body is designed to do. And all you have to do is give it the proper, like, single ingredient, nutrient dense. Now, for some people, that's like a keto way of going, and that works for people, and that's fine. For myself, I have a lot to heal. I had to go the carnivore way of eating, and frankly, when I do the lion way of eating, I feel the best. My skin issues clear up, and so on and so forth. Um, so I would encourage anybody that has some healing to do, um, not to get discouraged, to try, full blown carnivore. Uh, and if you can, go as to like a lion way of eating, which is just the ruminant meat, red meat, water, and salt. And, probably the biggest um, response I get from people that are outside the community, it's like, that's so boring. And it's pretty funny. Just the different nuances of eating, like a hot hamburger versus a cold hamburger versus, how it's cooked, whether it's on the rare side or if it's on the well side. There's so many variations within just like a hamburger that it keeps your palate going. But every now and then, if you do get a little palate fatigue, there's the dairy products. As long as you can tolerate them, you can do so much stuff with that. But anyways, back to you, Tom.
Yeah, no, I try muting myself so then that way no background noise affects anybody talking and stuff like that. So that's yeah. So I'm trying to see in the chats if there's any questions or anything. So far, I haven't had any questions, but people, I'm saying this out loud. I'm sure Tim is more than capable to answer questions. So if you can, just pop some questions in there, and I'll pop them in, and I'll relay them to Tim, and he will answer the questions. If you have questions for me, that's fine. But this is really Tim's day and not mine. So,
But I
you
want
know.
you to talk too.
Well, no, I will talk. I just, I'm talking now.
Right?
But that's the whole purpose of these. That's the whole purpose of these interviews. That's why I call them my chewing the fat with my targeted guests. So you're the targeted
Yes.
guest. So, you know.
The targeted guess. I get it. It's based
Yeah.
off of your target prime. Yeah. I
Yes.
get it.
Yes. Yeah, I can be kind of clever, like the chewing the fat is because there's so much fat in prime rib, chewing the
Yeah.
fat.
Yeah.
And also chewing the fat is also a term used for chatting amongst people, like
It
conversation.
is. It is. It's nice.
I'm just
Like,
surprised that I'm the only one. I'm surprised I'm the first and only one that's ever used that. From all the other carnivores, you'd think that they would have,
well, they,
unless there is, I just don't know it. And
yeah.
if there is, I apologize for
No,
taking it as well. You
yeah.
know, Terry.
When I first was eating carnivore, I was primarily doing like ribeyes because I just couldn't get enough. Like ribeyes, and ribeyes are like a 1-to-1 fat to protein ratio. Like sirloin is less than 1-to-1. So if you're going to eat a lot of sirloin, you're going to need to supplement that with additional fat, whether it's butter, fat trimmings. What I do is any rendered fat, I put in a bowl and then put it in the fridge and let it cool down, and I eat it cold. Um, I'm amazed of uh, how different it tastes cold out of the refrigerator. Um,
Yeah.
I, I actually eat my lunch hamburgers straight out of the refrigerator, and it's just like, oh,
Yeah, cold burgers. The first time I ever did that was when I went to Boston with Lewis. He actually made some cold burgers, and so I had them, and I usually would just eat them hot. But now it's like, okay, if I don't finish them and I put them in the fridge, I don't even heat them up. I just take them out and have like cold burger cookies.
for
So
sure.
Sandy doesn't really ask the question, but she just says she's happy for you and proud of you. So
Oh, thank you. Um, that's what's great about
Sandy's a
community.
great lady. She's 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 my carnivore mom. So but that's only because she's another person's carnivore mom, and since I'm her carnivore brother, the other person, that makes her my mom too. So it kind of goes hand in hand. But
Yeah.
so Terry said that she had a question, but you already answered it. So that's because he's efficient. Oh, okay. So
It's probably
Terry is asking another question.
okay.
Yeah, she's asking if you take any supplements or use electrolytes.
Um, Currently, I do both. Um, I do supplements. It's like a keto chow that has the potassium, magnesium, and sodium in it. Um, at work, we have reverse osmosis water fountains, and what I do is I'll dump the electrolytes in my little thermos first, and then put the water in. Um, and that's how I get my electrolytes. Because where I work, if I'm on a machine, it's the solder pot. It's hot solder dip. It's like 500 degrees, so there's plenty of sweating that goes along. But as far as supplements, I do iodine, like 8 drops, and I usually take coarse salt in my mouth first, and then I uh, do the iodine so that I'm getting the salt and the iodine at the same time. Um, I've been fighting a UTI for actually August 31st will be 1 year. That'll be my anniversary, my UTI anniversary. Um, right?
Listen to celebrate.
No,
Yes.
if I don't laugh, I'm going to cry. No, yeah, it can, if I let it be, frustrating because it's been stinking 12 months. What's going on? But again, in talking with Rebecca, um, pretty sure it's directly related to oxalate dumping because the oxalates are crystal formations and as small as they are, and the E. coli um, bacteria that's what I have for the UTI. They actually house in those um, crystals, and so until I'm done oxalate dumping, but then again, I got a lot more to go to get to where I need to be. So I'm just embracing it and just going. It's my friend now. you know, and um, I use Dimanos. That's another supplement I take. Um, Selenium is another one that helps with the iodine. Um, and I do egg shell powder. Um, Again, that was from Rebecca. Uh, because of my oxalate dumping, she recommended lemon juice is what I settled on. She said a bunch of other things. I do like 2 teaspoons, 2 tablespoons, excuse me, in like a 20-ounce carbonated water. And I do eggshell, and I do about 1 teaspoon. I just rough it, put it in a big spoon, put it in my mouth, and then drink my Dimanos and wash it down. But the funny thing is eggshell powder, at least for me, caused a constipation issue that shocked me. Um, and but grabbing that opportunity, I was able to go from a 1.5 fat to protein ratio to a 2 plus fat to protein ratio, and got even better results because higher fat is just doing really good things for me. Because the way I looked at it is, if I'm painfully constipated and I know higher fat makes me have diarrhea, why don't I just loosen things up with going higher fat? And now I'm able to go 2 plus on the fat to protein, and it's doing wonderful things. So that was a blessing in disguise, even though it was painful at first. That's the other thing. As much as I like that, like my knees aren't painful, there's a lot of things that are painful, like kidney stones, um, the constipation, all this other stuff. There are times when it's pretty rough, and it's good to have community where you can just say, "What's going on?" And somebody, "Oh yeah, that's
It's normal.
don't tell me it's normal. It's painful."
But no, still asking that question. Like, can anybody tell me, is this a normal thing to be happening? Like, what's going on with me? Am I, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, so that's the supplements. Hopefully I answered that enough. If not, just put another question in, and we can keep going.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, people ask questions. They're talking amongst themselves. We've got a few more people that chimed in. One of the people I didn't mention before, but it's been here for a while, is Nancy Ragsdale. I think she's in SPG with us. So she said that she remembers those pictures of you doing the shoveling. So
Excellent, excellent. So I should
at least I
change.
think those are the pictures from class. Yeah, at least I unless she's talking about other pictures, like the one you did of all the ones you did of Todd Bachmus.
No, that was just having fun at his expense.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have a special relationship.
Todd is a pretty good speaker. Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
yeah.
the only one I do is the one where I have one. I don't have it anymore, but I had one picture of a pelican, and it's just basically like just saying like, what did I ever do to you? Because I'm like teasing him for that one day when he said instead of making pemmican, he made pelican. So I just tease him all the time.
Oh yeah. I did a little meme on.
I mean, Mike, we all tease like Mike.
Yeah, I did a little meme with that
You're pretty
pelican.
good though. I mean, I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, and I had my little character that I named Todd Lindy. He probably loved that.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's amazing
So, question
how much more
just came
energy
up.
I have today
I think it's
versus
a
where I
question. It says
was.
QQQ. Does the UTI cause pain when peeing? And hope that doesn't.
It's uncomfortable. However,
So
if you're uncomfortable enough, it's just par for the course. You know, enough times, and where it's, like I said, the 31st of August will be 12 months. Um, so I definitely have the burning. Um, I do take azo. There's I call it the green box, um, but they're red pills. I take this azo, and it relieves the burning a little bit. It slows down the urgency because I tell you what, there was one time at work, it was like every 20 minutes to half an hour, I had to run to the bathroom. It was ridiculous. And this azo thingy um, countermands that, so it's less frequent. But that was just the worst. Um, I was going about 15 times a day, and now it's closer to like 7. Um, so it is slowing down some in that respect. But I think I attributed that to the azo green box. If somebody needs it, I can dig it out. Yeah, I got it right here.
so Nancy was just congratulating you on a year of your UTI. So she just left. Oh, okay.
If you want to
I
do a
think I've
screen
heard of
grab.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
see it.
yeah. So, I, but the thing
I
is,
I see. I'm sure they see.
you don't necessarily want to take over the counter for 12 months either. But it's every now and then I'll just take like a week and just not take anything like Azos related, because they have also the cranberry.
Oh God. Let's make it flavorful.
Yeah, it's cranberry. Well, at first I was doing um, straight cranberry juice. Um, I would put like 2 ounces in a 20-ounce um, like thermos type thing, and I would drink that, and I'd do that all day to fight the UTI, because cranberry does work against UTI. Um, and but my A1C went up. I went from like 6.0 to
Of course.
6.2,
You
and
even
because
without making it juicy, sugar, you know.
yeah, I think an infection itself would cause that, but
Well,
definitely
you
the
would also crash.
cranberry juice, because any fruit has 3 sugars in it. It has
Right.
fructose, glucose, and sucrose
Right.
in it. So I was doing bottles of that, and I said, that's why I went to the pill. And again, it's based off of cranberries anyway, so it has that stuff in it.
Right.
But what I really like is the green, just because of the urgency and frequency um, is diminished. So,
Mm.
but it is what it is.
So, is your wife on carnivore? I don't remember
Yes,
if you said she
Marsha,
was
my darling, yeah,
Marsha.
she
That's it.
she's on carnivore the same amount of time as myself. She,
And I thought that's what
uh,
you said. So
what's that?
I said I thought that's what you said, but I figure I get that confirmed. So did she have any great healing? Like the good things that have happened to you? Did the same thing happen to her? Like, did she have
Um,
anything any NSVs or anything like that? That you don't have to talk about. I just was wondering if she had any.
yeah, yeah. again, fully transparent. She's a bit frustrated. She does not have nearly the NSVs that I have. Non-scale victories for people that don't know what NSV means. Um, I would say the primary one was she has lost some inches and is into a different, genes and stuff. So that is definitely a positive. Her thing is her legs hurt her 24/7, and that hasn't changed. Um, Again, personally, just don't tell her, okay? But personally,
I
I don't
won't.
think I don't think she eats high enough fat, and especially for women, the high fat makes the difference. Like we're talking about Rebecca Heischman, she was eating 4-1. So if she was eating 100 grams of protein, she was eating 400 grams of fat.
Yeah,
Figure that out.
that's a lot. That's a
Yeah,
lot. I think I'd be making a lot of trips. I make a lot of trips now to the Porcelain Throne. I think I'd be living there.
but
I'd have to I'd have to take residence there. You know.
and again, everybody's different. You got to figure out what works for you. And if you do it all at once, you'll definitely be running to the bathroom. If you do a little at a time, let your body adapt to get that bile out and production, that bile production going. Um, but again, she had so much to heal. Her body used that much to heal. Um, I like to say fat heals, protein builds, which is basically true, but both of them heal. And it's the combination of the two that does everything.
Right.
Because
Right.
uh, your ruminant,
Well,
like your,
you need the protein as well because it builds muscle and the muscle actually, yeah. So
yeah, but
it's all
that
relative.
higher fat for those of us that have a lot to heal makes a big difference.
Yeah,
It really does.
it does. I mean,
If I could ever get over this I think my sleep would get better because before the UTI, I had gotten my circadian rhythm to where I was getting the sunlight at night, the red lamp, so I wasn't doing the blue, and I was sleeping 8 hours, no, actually 7.5 hours, um, straight through, which is like fantastic. Because before that period of time, after Rebecca's coaching and everything, um, that's when the circadian rhythm got better. I was getting up like 3 to 5 times a night before I had a UTI just to go to the bathroom. Now with the UTI, it's down to like two uh, recently, 2 times, which is better than I guess the other. But I wish I could get back to sleeping the entire 7.5 hours, whatever, um, and not having to get up. But UTI is what it is. It's my friend.
yeah. So I just put this. It's not really a question for you or me. It's just no slow. Gary No Slow is asking now drinking a. Okay, yeah. Now drinking a San Pellegrino chai lime. Anyone else salt the rim up when drinking lime flavored sparkling water? No, personally, I have not done that. I guess it sounds
Ooh,
pretty good, but or
ooh.
interesting, but and maybe I'll try it. I don't know. Um, or would
I
it make
know.
us like want to have a margarita?
Well, alcohol is
You
sugar,
know,
so
it's like Is
You
he a
might not want to
slippery
do that.
slope? Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny when I'm
Yeah, he's
talking
a
to
pretty
people.
funny guy. He was actually on.
Yeah, when I'm talking to people at work, and I said, yeah, you need to get rid of seed oils first and foremost. Those are non-negotiable. Get rid of them. They do horrible things to you. Um, and then they try to say, what's a seed oil? And I said, well, it's everywhere. You know, your stuff that you spray on your skillet to, that's likely seed oil. Um, Anything that's, you know, saf, all the different ones. But anyways, and then I say the next thing is you want to reduce, if not eliminate, sugar. And I said, if you're going to do anything sugar wise, make it a fruit or something. Something that's kind of designed to be that way. Nothing that's man-made sugar. And they said,
Mhm.
well, I don't do sugar. I have like stevia. And it's like, well, it's a sugar substitute, but that's still, when it gets into your bloodstream, is going to be sugar. And I said, if you have
Well,
starch,
if it's in
that turns to sugar. If you have alcohol, it turns to sugar. If you have, and I go through the list, and they go, you got to be kidding me. What can you eat? I said, ruminant meat.
or just meat, basically. Yeah, it's just, it's
Because
still a lot better than the crap, than carbs.
I still get comments from people that knew me or saw me, if you will, when I first got to the company I'm at, February of last year, 2024. Um, they still say, you look so much better. You have so much more energy. You walk so much better. What are you doing? And I'll tell them I eat meat. It's like, oh, I couldn't do that. Yeah, or I could be like the guy you used to know, or be the guy that you do know right now. Um, but yeah, it's funny. Oh, I couldn't give up this. Well, then you're not sick enough, because there will come a point where you're going to figure out, like, if I only listened, because that's the one thing. If I say there's any regrets, is I didn't learn of the carnivore way of eating sooner. Um, like in SPG, you see some
Right.
of these kids that are, 18, 20, 25 years old. And it's like, if I had known this back then, oh, it'd be just a different physical life. I'm telling you.
Well, that's. I mean, I'm actually, just to kind of preempt a little bit. I'm actually excited about my next week's guest because of what you just said. Caleb is going to be on here next week, and
Yes.
he's. I don't know if he's actually turned 17 or not, but I do know he was 16 when I asked him. I don't know if he's had a birthday since then.
Yeah.
Uh, but still, 17 is pretty young. And
Yes.
then I have another young lady that's coming on in January, Alayla, that's 16, and she is a very nice young lady. Um, and she does some podcasts and stuff like that. And I actually agreed with her that I'll be on her podcast, and she's going to be on my channel and doing a live in January. So, but they're so young, and I don't know if you remember or not, but there was a kid that I don't know if he ever came on the actual SBGs, but I know he was on the Bella's master class that she had to teach us how to do videos and stuff like that. And his name is Anthony, and he's the carnivore guy, and he's another 16-year-old. And it describe he's on Instagram more. He's not really on YouTube, but if you were like compare him to anybody, I would say he's like Ralph Macchio, from the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
You know, he's a lot like him. And then you have so many others. Well, you got of course Emma and his, and Alyssa and Kate,
Yes.
Carrie Ann's daughters, and you have, and then you have, oh god, what's her name? There's another young lady that was like, I think she was like 15 when she started. Now I think she's 18. She's been doing it for a few years now. But there's so many people, and then there's another girl that's 9 that's doing carnivore. That Carrie Mann
It's
had an
just a
interview with.
kid.
She's 9
Yeah.
years old. She looks like 9 years old. And it's just so many people that are young. And, it's just, a lot of times you just kind of say to yourself, you're like, which he just joined in the chats, if you want to see what happens to you in a few years, if you start young, look at Rick, Charger Mopar, because he's been doing it for over 40 years. So, you know, you're going to be just as healthy as he is. You might be as crazy as he is too. No offense, Rick. But would you rather be crazy and healthy, or would you rather be sane and miserable?
I think when you're healthy, I guess you could be crazy, but I know my mental acuity, my mental health was far worse prior to priming, and far worse prior to um, carnivore, because I used to get really angry and mad. Ugh, it wasn't good. I actually would yell at somebody in the face saying, "You're dead to me." I'm going, yeah. That escalated quickly, and it was just an
Okay.
emotional response that was uncalled for and unnecessary, and frankly, rude and wrong. Um, and I was like, "Where's that coming from?" And it's from all the sad standard American diet, all the buildup, all the toxins, all the uh, oxalates, all that crap. Because I remember in the 80s, it was zero fat. And guess what that does? It messes with your mind, because your brain is cholesterol. Because they want you to, oh, I think whether they start like 350 is your cholesterol. Then it went to 300. Now it's 280. They want to go to 150. It's like, are you crazy? It
I
is
know.
unbelievable,
I know.
because I forget where I heard it from, but they studied something like I think it was like 12 people that lived to be 116 years old or something like that. And one of the common factors was that their cholesterol was in the 1200s. They lived to be 116.
Doesn't shock me. Does not shock me at all.
Because if you think about it, the fat, fluffy LDL that they don't want you to have LDL because
Hmm.
it's the bad cholesterol. That bad cholesterol, air quotes, um, literally transports the fatty acids to where it needs to heal things. So I have a lot to heal. My LDL is going to be really high. Once my healing down is done, I'm sure my cholesterol will come back down. But
Right.
until I don't, it's literally taking that high fat that I'm doing, breaking it down into fatty acids, and the LDL is taking these and transporting it to where it needs to go. I mean, anyways, don't even want to get started.
No, I agree. I was actually pretty lucky with my last doctor. The one before her was like bugging me like crazy, like literally like a salesman, like a bad salesman, by the way. And and I even complained about him. That's how bad he was. I complained to him, to the administration. But this one, last one I had, she's like, well, you're according to the guidelines and everything like that, we really do need to suggest a statin to you. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but I would rather not take a statin. And I told her about being carnivore. And she's like, well, you know what? Why don't we just watch you as your carnivore? And if things seem to be that bad, then we'll bring it up again. But until then, we're going to table it. We're not going to. And she didn't really bug me about it.
Yeah,
And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can do that. That's, at least you're compromising a little bit with me. And, she didn't really seem to be against it. Matter of fact, I think she's actually for it, but she wants to be able to see how well somebody's doing every time, like every 3 months. Because she even said to me afterwards, she goes, because it's a teaching hospital. She goes, if you request it, I could be your doctor all the time. So it was like, okay, I think
really.
she wants to kind of study what's going on. Because it's sort, like we don't really fully know, and I don't know if that's actually the case. It just seems like she was a little interested in it. Um, I mean, I think it is a little bit more open now than it was, like even like a year ago. But not. I think the crack is open a little bit wider, but it still needs to be, of people accepting it. There's still some kickback. There's still a lot of kickback, but I think more and more people are starting to like be like tell me a little bit more about this. What's going on?
Right.
And just through just sheer information. There's so many of us that it's hard not to see it. But
Yep.
what
Yep.
makes it
Yep.
really hard is like we've been so programmed to know all these things, to learn all these things,
Yes.
that it's and we like even the concept of when somebody goes to you, and I had said to a friend of mine at my niece's birthday party, like basically how crazy she was to think what she's saying. I didn't mean to say she was crazy. I just what she's saying is crazy. And she was saying all you need to do is moderate. And I looked at her, I said, do you really believe that? Do you really believe that if we're addicted to alcohol or we're addicted to carbs or sugars or anything like that, do you really think moderation is really that's all we need to do is just learn how to moderate. Just learn how.
Hmm.
First off, you're suggesting them eat 6, 7 meals a day. How are you able to moderate eating 6, 7 meals a day? Because you're always repeating and you're always adding into it, you know? So and she looked at me and she's like, no, I don't really believe that. I'm like, then why'd you say? Because she's like, because it's the norm. It's what everybody says. Okay, well,
Because
fair enough.
the
But
the other term that they use is, oh, I do a balanced diet, and it's like balanced, And then you ask them, oh, what do you mean by that? And they'll tell you, oh, I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and da, da, da. And if you think about it, anywhere else in the world, and the different like animal kingdoms and everything like that, um, like a koala bear, do they eat a balanced diet? No,
no,
they eat eucalyptus, and they poop like 200 times a day. Um, a lion, do they eat balanced? No, they eat whatever they catch, and it's uh,
yeah.
you go to anything. Do they eat balanced? No. Why is it the only humans are to eat balanced? That's the food companies programming you to buy their stuff.
Hmm. Well,
But
I mean, here's another analogy that you hear all the time. Okay, that we know that came from the food companies is breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And they only did Kellogg's put that out there because to get us to have their cereal, basically, their cornflakes or their And the thing is, if you think about it, they were right about what they said. They just misdirected us on what it means. Because, I mean, you think about it, if you think of the word, okay, breakfast, all right, your first
Great.
meal after you
Fast.
fast, no matter
Yeah.
how long it is,
Yep.
okay, is the most important meal. How you break your fast
Absolutely.
is the most important meal you're going to have. So, yeah, Kellogg was right. Your breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but there's no law that says it has to be at 6 o'clock, at 8 o'clock in the morning. No one says it has to be with cereal. There's no law that says that. You can have anything you want in the meat department, so to speak, in our case, and you can have it at 2 p.m. That's your breakfast, your first meal. So it's kind of interesting how well, he was right, but he was just wrong about what exactly he was
Well,
talking about. you know
do a dive on Frank Kellogg, the guy that started Kellogg's.
right.
It's named after him. Um, that guy, A, wasn't a nice guy. B,
Yeah.
manipulated data. Ansel Keys basically worked for him and came up with cholesterol bad so that he could sell his cereal. And he had a religious slant on why he wanted cereal instead of like meat and eggs, uh, because um, meat and eggs would help you have good hormone balance, which would lead to self pleasure, we'll just say,
Yeah, in
sexually
today's
speaking.
office. Yeah.
Um, and he was against that. So he said, if you do all this grains, which will knock down your hormones, then you won't be prone to do that.
Right.
Uh, a, uh, you do you and stay out of everyone else, you know? Um, then he hand selected the people that started the National Institute of Health, NIH,
Yes.
that we still have today. He, when that started, he selected who went there.
Of
So
course, you
it's
want people
no
to follow him, not yeah.
correct. And it's crazy.
Well,
Like,
Ansel Keys kind of did the same. If you think about it, Ansel Keys did the same thing. He handpicked he went to 21 different countries, but he only handpicked 7 of them and put it into his research. So
correct.
then that way we thought that this was the way it was. So it doesn't shock me that they work together because monkey see, monkey do.
Yep.
It's amazing. And like I asked my counselor this question one time that I'm not seeing anymore. I'm now on an on-call basis only. I no longer have appointment with my psychiatric counselor, and because I've healed, I've done so much better that she doesn't think, she's like, you don't need me anymore. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But that's a whole different NSV. But
Yes.
I said to her, I said, let me ask you a question. I said, do you think God, like, are you like, like, do you think God makes mistakes? Well, no. All right. Do you believe, like, first off, do you believe in God? But, then, and she's like, no. And I said to her, I said, okay, well, do you know that our liver produces cholesterol to go throughout our bodies and help us to heal, basically? About 80% of it's with the liver. I mean, from the liver, 80% is cholesterol. And she goes, yeah, I heard something like that. I said, well, if our bodies are made to make cholesterol and our brains need it And most of our cells need, not even just our brains, but every cell in the body needs cholesterol. Then why would God make something like that if cholesterol is actually killing us? That makes no sense. If he's having us literally produce it, why would we want to delete it? Why would we want to reduce it? And she's like, you make a good point there. That's you know, I don't know if
Yeah,
that made her carnivore, but she was like, like I never thought about that,
because
because
the other thing, every single hormone that we have, the precursor to each hormone is cholesterol.
yep,
So when you go to a no fat
yeah,
diet, like I tried that in the past, um, that means all of your hormones are skewed. And then the
yep,
brain is the other one that just has to have cholesterol to function correctly, because they're literally, there are doctors in like different nursing homes and stuff that have patients that have Alzheimer's, that they introduce cholesterol at a higher rate, and they come out of it, and they're able to put them in and out of the Alzheimer's state depending on how much cholesterol they give them. And it's like,
yeah.
whoa, that says a lot,
I mean,
because you wonder why, dementia and Alzheimer's, all that is so common. It's because of the way we've been eating. Thank you, Kellogg. I mean, the food pyramid, it puts Fruit Loops in like the top 15 or something like that, and red meat 85 out of 100, in priority on the food pyramid. And it's like, are you serious? Nobody has to
you
be
know,
like a
I'm actually
brain.
surprised. I'm actually surprised that red meat is actually so high up, because the way they do it, I would think it would actually be even lower. But
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
like,
85 out of
but
100 is pretty low. But because nobody in
it
their
is. I'm
right
not saying
mind,
that. I'm just saying with the way they demonize it, you would think that it would be like what's the other 15? Like what? I'm going to guess butter is probably like pretty low, or like the
true,
fats and stuff
true.
like that.
That's
But
a very
you know,
astute question. We'll have to look it up. But I'm sure that has changed since RFK got in there.
yeah. Well, I
But
mean,
well,
like I said before, I know we still have a long ways to go, and talking about the kids and everything like that, Caleb and Aliyah. I'm sorry, I forget how to pronounce her name. I'll figure it out. But it's like Aliyah, but Alea, it's spelled differently. And like I think it's hope from them that it's going to start coming up. But they're just starting out. But hopefully with everybody doing, we can like get a realization of what's going on.
yeah,
But then we also have people too, it was in, like, he announced fully that he's full carnivore. JFK, he admitted he's a carnivore. And the thing is, I know you and me and a lot of us have like we don't have the physique, we don't have the bodies that we're looking for, obviously, and in the movement. But have you ever seen JFK without a shirt on? He's buff. He's over 70 years old, and he's doing like pull ups and everything like that, and and this is somebody that we want to represent us, because
uh,
have you ever seen the people that represent, like, the nutrition? Like, I had a nutritionist in the hospital, right? She was like
uh,
350 pounds, and she's
uh,
telling me how to eat.
Yeah, Tom, you don't want to see me with my shirt off.
No, no, nor the other way around. You don't want to see me either.
but
But
but I have to say, um, just recently, I can feel a reduction in my man boobs, if you will. Um,
okay.
it's just like, wow. And the apron that I have, it's called a panis. Um, that has gotten reduced as well. So, things are happening. Um, I still have lipedema like above the knee and below the waist, um, in the groin area and everything. Um, Trying to figure out how to move that, but um, my edema that I get during the day is I still get the edema from 8 hours on concrete, and it used to take 2 to 3 days for the swelling to go down on my edema. Now it's like 5 to 6 hours, which I think is a tremendous progress. And I hope to one day not get the edema, but right now my lymphatics are probably still sluggish, and the vibration plate I think helps with that, because I can feel
Now, do
it.
you find you use the vibration plate? Do you find that you use it less now than you used to? The vibration plate, like not as often,
Um,
or do you still have the
truthfully,
same routine?
um, truthfully, I do use it a bit less, um, but I feel a difference when I do use it. So I want to use it like I was before. Because I used to be every day for, um, I want to say close to a year. And
Okay.
the core strength of being able to stand up, and I'm able to do level 60. I used to only be able to do level 10.
Mm.
So that's tremendously different. Um, I have a Life Pro vibration plate, and it does three motions. It does not only the vibrate, but it does the up and down and the side to side. So you do all
Oh,
three.
okay.
You do all three at once, and it's like shaking you up.
Yeah.
And at 60, the vibration is like collimated, so I can put the affected areas in that vertical zone. And at 60, it's much more intense, obviously, than 10. When I first
Oh,
started,
oh yeah, you think.
I had to I had to sit down and put my feet on it.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's how I have to do it too. I don't have the balance, so I do have to sit in order to use it.
yeah. Um, Now I can do 10 minutes on 60. Um,
Stand.
Again, full transparency. Actually, the second to last time I did it, my knee wasn't feeling good afterwards. But after
Mm.
resting, it's doing okay. But yeah, I think it's a good addition, especially for those that have lymphatic issues, because it moves things. And I'm
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
it actually makes me feel pretty good. I don't have the swelling as much as I used to, but like when I like go for a walk, or even before I go for a walk, believe it or not, actually it helps even more when I go before I go for a walk. It helps me feel a lot better. Like we don't realize how many like you think these tools make things harder for us, but sometimes it makes it actually even better. Like when I use the shake plate for like even just 15 minutes,
yeah,
when I go back out, my hip isn't hurting as much. And what people don't realize, I advertise using the weight vest. Well, the weight vest isn't just for me to lose weight. Yes, I do eventually hope it helps me get a good core and stuff like that, and get rid of my visceral fat. Don't get me wrong. I mean, duh, but it also helps me balance. I feel more weighted down onto the ground. I feel more, like I'm controlling my walking. I'm not like just wobbling. Because what people don't realize is, like when I walk, or at least I don't think they realize it. I don't know. No one's ever said anything. But when I walk, I have sort of a wobble to my walk, and you know, and so it's not, like sometimes like when the camera's shaking, it's because of the way I'm walking, like obviously.
Yeah. No, I totally understand because I used to um, be stiff leg. Think of a board like a 4x8 sheet of plywood. And if you had to walk that across the floor, that's how I used to walk,
Hmm.
where I just put one foot over here and then
Yeah,
do the other
I
foot.
don't
And
walk like that.
then that's how I used to walk. And when I
Yeah.
started last February, um, where I'm working, um, like you said, I would waddle everywhere, just waddle.
Yep.
And when I went to coaching with uh, Rebecca Heichman, she said, "Well, what you do, you need to do personal PT. You need to learn how to walk and get the mechanics down, and just force yourself to do that, and eventually it'll come natural." And sure enough, she's right. Um, now I can walk, if
Oh
you
yeah.
will, normal.
Yeah.
For me, the
I
hip
mean, if you compare me
flexors,
to 8 months ago, yeah.
yeah, for me, it's the hip flexors that make a difference when I don't waddle because I haven't used them in so long. They get tired.
Yeah. 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 You got to work on them. So, out of curiosity, since no one's really asking any questions in the chats, um, what do you do to work on your hip flexors? Because obviously, you want it. Do you just do the walking, or do you do any special other exercises or anything like that, or stretching um,
Yeah,
to help them?
the only things that really I do that would positively affect that is the vibration plate and walking. Currently, um, YouTube has a bunch of videos that you can actually. There's specific exercises to target your hip flexors. Um, I'm just not at that
Yeah,
point
I agree. No, I mean
because
that's what I do too, and it seems to help as much as possible. Um, I try to walk fast, but I just walk as fast as my body will let me. If I start feeling a lot of pain, obviously I'm going to slow down, but I still walk. Um, I still do have a hard time with staircase, which is why I do the videos of me walking up and down the steps because it's to show that hey, I'm trying at least, and but I'm starting. I've taken the next step, but I still have to have my arm near it. I still have my hand like sort of like this on the railing,
yeah,
right? But it's
yep,
like sort of like on the wall, but the railing is down here. So it's away from the railing, but I still use that support of the wall because I'm not yet ready to go over here, or let me make it a little bit
I
easier to go over. Sorry, I had to figure my hands out,
yeah,
but it's like, how does the camera go?
right. No, I
So I'm not
concur.
really, I'm not really ready for that. And the funny thing is, it's easier for me. It's easier for me to guide myself going down the stairs than to go up the stairs. You know, which is weird because I sort of like ever since I fell, I sort of have like a vertigo. And when I fell, I call, and you'll get a kick out of this. I called it the mafia boot. You know, because it was. I called it that because it was like a concrete boot that went on your foot.
Yeah.
So I would draw dead fish on it, and show it to my doctor because it would come off every week. So every week I put like dead fish, and he's like, "You're real funny, you know that, right?" I go, "You're putting this like concrete thing on me," you know?
Yes.
And then you take a and then you take this special saw to take it off. How do like like how do I know you're not going to go through the cast and go right into my foot with this thing? He's like, well, it's not really. It's just vibrating. I'm like, it's still moving. If you can
Yeah.
if you can cut the boot, it can cut my foot. I mean, come on.
Yeah. It's an oscillating tool. Yeah. Those are
Yeah,
designed to take cast off, and as soon as it hits your flesh is pliable, so it won't cut. So it's only
but
cuts
still, you
the
still have you still think of like having that fear. Like,
correct, correct. It's it's pretty crazy, but
it's like, does it always work that way? It's like I'd be like that one person, like, oh, I'm going to decide to cut through your flesh.
it's like, and now you have no leg.
Yeah, you already took the toes. Why not the other foot?
Yeah.
It's like
No,
it's
I'm very similar. I'm very similar to you in that stairs are still a hurdle for me. I mean, I can get up and down at least three of them because I do it every day. Um,
right.
but
Like you have to.
I'm holding on tight, and I'm trying to go through the mechanics and just hold on at the same time. Uh, I'm noticing coming up, if if I can get my center of gravity over my knee when I'm coming up the stairs, I can go up, and uh, my left leg is pretty good, but my right leg is a little bit weak when I do that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, my right leg. I mean, because at first I used to wonder, like, why do I have pain in my leg all the time? Like what? Why? And I thought maybe it was sciatica. And it is still possible it could be. But then I thought to myself, talking to a few people, I thought to myself, like, wait, they cut my toes. Could it be the cutting of the nerve as damaged and cause pain in my leg, like where I have more pain sometimes than other days. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this is going to be a process that's going to take a long time. Nerves take years to heal, according to Dr. Perry. And not only did I damage my nerves, but I literally cut them, you
Yes.
know. And well, I didn't cut them; somebody else did that,
Well, yeah.
But they
The,
cut from my body, I'm not the one who took the knife. I'm not the one that took the chopping axe in my foot, I'm not like Vincent Van Gogh, and you know and everything. But I mean, to kind of not paraphrase, but to kind of go back a little bit, so the worst step I ever took, the one I always have a hard time with, is my sister's step in her backyard, because it's like this concrete step, and the way they poured it, was like it's totally uneven. It's like when you go on, you feel like you're like wobbling around in a pool. Even if you have normal feet, you feel like a little wobbly. And there's no railing, or anything like that. So I have to kind of go down these other steps, go around the backyard, go through, and then go into the backyard that way,
yeah.
and which is kind of annoying because those steps are directly to the backyard, like you're there, you know.
Yes.
But another step that was really hard for me is when I went to Boston. I told Lewis about it, and I think I told you guys too at one other time. But the step for the train, like I step on the train, it was that high up, And here I have a suitcase, I have a backpack and a suitcase on me. So not only am I taking myself up there, I'm also taking luggage up there too. And I'm like, there's no way I can make it. So luckily, you know, I was able to just ask, the conductor, can let me pull myself up, and he was very understanding, and he just handed me my luggage, and that was it. No fuss, no muss. And and the second time, the gap of the train tracks, it was like the steps were low, but the gap was about like that far. So I literally had to do a leap across, the train. Okay. And so I have my suitcase again. So I just like I'm just like, I took the suitcase in the backpack and just threw it, throw it out on the ground. I'm like, I hope nothing breaks. And I just like, took and just left across, because I didn't have anything to hold on to. So I just, I asked another person actually to, like, here, I need to get across. And he just like held and he just pulled me across. So I was like, okay, So sometimes you get people that are nice enough to help you out, but
Yes.
still you feel bad because you needed that help. But it's
True.
just, you do make do, and there's a time that you can even make do. There's a time that it was hard. Like you just were, and I know like we kind of relate in that concept of the not being able to walk and everything like that. I don't know if I know you've been with a walker. I don't know if you ever had the wheelchair or not, but that's just as annoying. And and there was a time where I was actually not even, I was actually beyond the wheelchair. I was actually like so bad in bed that they had to pull me up in order to help me even go to the bathroom or even eat. Like it was like
Wow.
for 3 months that was my life. You know,
Yeah.
and so you kind of get grateful for the help that you can get or the help that you don't need anymore. When you can get yourself to that point of being able to walk. And everything like
Yep.
that. And when you can go a little bit further, then you're even more grateful.
Yes.
And I carnivore is so much more than just weight loss. It really is. And and again, that's why I have you on here. That's why I'm having you on here right now. That's why I had Carrie Mann on here, Amy Haas, so many people. Lexi. I mean, what a story with Lexi. The curing, helping her schizophrenia and stuff like that, and
Yes.
being on that path. And how about Lash with his psoriasis? There's so many stories. I was lucky enough to have Coach Alyssa um, on here. What
Yep.
a lovely person.
Absolutely.
And I mean, like she's one of my. I mean, I have many favorites in SPG, and she's definitely one of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Alyssa is fantastic. And becoming a coach is, I saw that come in and I was really happy for her. Um, Very nice person. Um, Hearing you talking about the train and the steps and everything and uneven ground and whatnot, it reminded me when I was using the walker, we have a sidewalk that's all undulated and
mm,
uneven, and we would basically fight for a parking spot on the one area that it was pretty level because of the anxiety I had on uneven ground. And this is with my walker. I would get anxiety trying to walk across uneven ground. And now I can just traverse it and it's not an anxiety at all. So that's a big benefit. Um,
mm,
it's amazing where I was and where I am today, even though I wish, I looked like Dr. Chafee, it's not going to happen. um, I,
well,
I need to
well,
heal the,
I would guess you'd have to get a few years younger too. I mean, isn't Dr.
yeah,
Chafee like all 40s? Yeah,
yeah.
no
I mean,
offense.
he started out athletic, so he just
Yeah.
grew from there. But yeah, it's one of those things that I got to get the hormones healed, and I think this higher fat is going to be the vehicle for that. Um,
Yeah.
and once they heal, I think things will balance out because I can feel the inches coming off, which is really good. And anyways, it's exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is the healing is a big part of it, and like, let me ask you a question. Okay, so you said Martha, right? You said that she doesn't have as many NSVs as you do,
Correct.
but how amazed is she of your NSVs? Like
Oh,
how
she's
is she?
elated. Um, she's a fantastic wife.
Of
Um,
course.
she's my darling, and uh, anytime I benefit, she is ecstatic about that and very happy. Um, on the other hand, anytime she's hurting, I can feel it, so to speak, because it's like, oh, I wish that was different. Uh, we don't quite understand why, but uh, I'm hoping that we can go back to maybe Rebecca or someone and have her, you know, coach Marsha to the point of understanding what's going on, because the way her legs hurt doesn't shouldn't be
Sounds good.
shouldn't be. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a bad idea. She helped. I mean, after all, she helped you. So
Yes,
why not help the wife of the person she helped?
yeah,
Now, sometimes you do kind of, sometimes doing a different person does kind of help too, because it gives you a whole different prospect and gives you a whole different outlook. You know, um,
truthfully, I
but
think of Alyssa
I think
as well.
that's a bad.
Would be good coach
Yeah,
for Marsha.
yeah. I mean, right now I'm studying on with kilts. With Dr. Nelson, I'm studying coaching, but it's like I'm not very like I'm not saying I'm a dumb person, in the least. And but the thing is like when I want to comprehend something, I have to read something more than once. You know, like like the things I know about cholesterol. It's not because I read one book, and like I haven't read any books, but all the information I've gotten from Kilts, from from Dr. Phil, from this, from that. You accumulate enough information, you start to learn things, you start to know things, and that's how I got all my information. I didn't get it because I read a book,
Yeah,
But in order to do this, you have to kind of like read. It's a lot of reading, and I can read a book, but for me to actually remember everything that's in the book the first time out, it's
yeah,
I need to read it again and again sometimes, And so that's where my problem is. It's like, okay, I don't have time in the day to read a book 4 or 5 times to comprehend it. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the course and I'm going to learn as well as I can,
yeah,
do as well as I can, you know, and then have the material and then keep on going back to it. Keep on refraining, like
yeah.
just refreshing myself. And
Something that might
I think,
something that might help you is if you can listen to the book as you read it, because anytime
yeah,
you use more than one sensory, it's going to help you. Um, so if you can
yeah,
listen to it while you read, that might help. Um,
yeah. No, I've actually put it on, with Lewis's help. I've actually put it on to Speechify. So I do actually listen to I have it on, in my notes. So I have it on Speechify and I have the book, and I listen to it. Matter of fact, one time it's funny. One time I was listening to one of the books, like about 120 pages or something like that, and I was listening and I fell asleep while listening to it. Like I wasn't actually reading. I actually fell asleep, and when I woke up, I retained some of them. I retained a lot of the information. I'm like, okay, yeah. But it was basically something that Kiltz has talked about before, about like, like I understand Kiltz's concept of, the like pretty much what he's talking about is the law of attraction. If like if you're thinking something, it's going to come to pass. If you think you're going to fail, If you think that you're never going to amount to anything, well then it's going to become true. But if you also think that things are possible, that you're going to, it's like when you're walking for the first time in a long time. If you have it in your mind that you're going to walk down the street, and you believe that you're going to walk down the street, it might not happen tomorrow, or today, but you are going to eventually walk down the street because your mind is already envisioning you doing that, you know, and that's what we've done. We envision what we're going to do, and we've done that. And we surpassed all these people that told us that, oh, you won't do this or you won't do that, and we've ignored them and just listened to our own selves and just focused on the people that were giving us positive reinforcement, you know, and
Yes.
and that's basically what the book was about. It was about just believing in what, like just thinking the good thoughts and stuff, So that wasn't really too hard to comprehend, But
Uh,
this is,
I'm
like I love life now.
Yeah. I had another thought that came to mind, um, kind of a before and after. Um, I want to say January 1st of 2024. Um, I hurt my knee, um, twisting. I had a bag of kitty litter and I twisted on one foot and it just did something to my knee. I couldn't even bear weight. It was horrible. As a matter of fact, Marcia had had to ferry me to and from my recliner on the rollator walker. It has a seat, and I'd sit on it, and she'd just roll me to the restroom.
Yeah, no, I
And
know
it,
it.
it was it was horrible. I couldn't do anything. Um, Fast forward, it healed probably within a month, and now I can walk and everything, and my strength's getting better. You mentioned, seeing the uh, photos of shoveling and everything like this. So I'm getting strength back. I'm able to, pick the washer up off the floor if it went on its side, type thing. And my poor darling, she was walking and caught her toe on a rug, wound up falling face first into a door jam, and
Oh,
it hit her glasses and it broke the bow right off. And she got a huge black and blue, and she was just crying on the floor. And I'm like, honey. And I was able to pick her up off the floor to get her on her feet. And I can't tell you how happy that I was able to help her. And I
uh,
could not have done that before. Could not have. Um,
that's wonderful. That's so good.
yeah,
You
to
you
be
must
able
have
to
been like,
be,
oh, you must have been over the moon once you helped her out and everything like that. You must
yeah,
that worked.
absolutely, because it was like full circle where she's the one pushing me to the toilet, you know, tell
Right.
me that doesn't work on your manhood. Um, and then to be able to literally stoop down, pick you up, I got you, honey. Let's get on your feet and just help her out.
Yeah.
It was tremendous.
And if that doesn't prove right there that carnivore helps, I don't know what else does. I
Yeah,
mean, right there. I would have imagined you had like this like revelation. It's like, wait, I would never have been able to do this a year ago.
correct.
You know, and so many of us is like, oh, carnivore's not really hell. I'm not losing. I mean, to give you a little backstory, I don't know if you know a story about my mom or not,
No.
but just my mom had metastatic breast cancer, and she was very sick. She was very, very sick. She had breast cancer and then metastasized to her bones. So her bones were very weak, and she, she had chemotherapy. She had all this stuff, and it came to a time where she started losing her balance. She started losing that she would need a walker and that she needed to move. You know, and at this time we weren't carnivore. We were just keto. So um, and I went keto because I thought it could help my blood sugars. Even at that time, I thought it could help. I wasn't really thinking of. I didn't really like the idea of getting rid of some of the. Like I still like my potatoes. I still like avocado, and let's face facts. I still like my occasional chocolate and stuff like that. But but I still went pretty much animal. I still pretty much had animal base and stuff like that. And she went with me. She did the same thing. And funny thing is, she was actually a vegan, a vegetarian vegan, and she used to hate that. She didn't want to kill animals, but then she realized that eating meat was healing her. So, and that nice little side story on top of this one. So I did this little trick to kind of get her to be okay with eating the meat. But I but to go back, so she started to. I was actually doing pretty well. I lost a few pounds. My blood sugars were getting in better control. They weren't like where they are now. I could only dream about having an A1C of 6.2 at that time. But she was doing really well. She was actually starting to not need the walker as much. She was able to walk up and down stairs again. All right, she had to have help, and she had to use the railing like I do, but she was walking around the park. She would walk around the park. She was having so much energy. She was more clear headed. But the thing is, and I've mentioned this before, her why was to lose weight.
Mhm.
So the whole time she never recognized all the benefits that she was getting. She only recognized whether or not she was losing weight. And since she wasn't, and since people suggested to her to get off the keto, she listened to them, and she also listened to the fact that she wasn't losing any weight. But to me, the victory was her being able to move better, to be able to walk better, and just like you, I mean, your victory is what you just talked about, is you helping your wife. That is amazing, and I'm sure your wife gave you a great big hug after that, like for one for helping her and the other for being able to help her,
Yes.
and if she didn't, like she should,
No, she thanked me.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just we demonize and actually no, not demonize. We minimalize all these victories that happen to us. And most of us do it because we're like, oh well, I haven't lost 30 pounds, or I haven't done this, or I haven't done that. If you're meant to lose the weight, you're going to lose the weight. And I don't think any of us are really meant to be 500 pounds. I don't think I think as you heal, and that's what's happening to me. As I heal something a little bit, then I start losing weight. And the process goes again. And, then you get to a new normal, and then you start keep on going, you know? And I think, but sometimes you do go through plateaus, and you do have to kind of be like, okay, how can I trick this? How can I jumpstart this? How can I do this? And priming helped me out quite a bit too. I didn't prime as long as you did. I definitely did not prime as long as Bella. But, when I first started priming, and you might remember this, I actually was very worried about how my sugars were going up. I didn't care about the weight. I didn't care about my weight going up, but I was worried about my sugars going up. And they said, it's going to do. But what they didn't realize is, and I think they sort of admitted it, that they should have first found out where my sugars were at that time, because they might have been like, okay, maybe we should wait until we get your sugars down first and then do the priming. Because at that time, my sugars were already like about 200, 250. So for my sugars to go up, it's not a good thing because they're already high, you know. And but when after I was done priming, after I did that first 2 weeks, and started doing, my sugars started going down, and they started being in better control. And I don't think I would have gone to the A1C of 6.2 if I didn't do the priming for those 2 or 3 weeks, you know. And I think that I had to eat the more to nourish my body, and I even tried doing a second prime for like 4 days. Like I guess you could call it a mini prime. I tried for 5, but it was the ending of the prime was like right when my niece had her birthday. And even though I wanted the prime and everything, oh no, I'm sorry, I reversed that. I don't know why I stopped the priming. Something's happening to stop the priming. The 5-day fast was ended because of my niece's birthday. But it just our healing is so immense. And and we have so many accomplishments that we've gone through. It's amazing. It's just, I mean, I'm sure you're pretty amazed. Like, I tell, like, I think we do things subconsciously sometimes. And when I started this journey, I started on January 1st, my journey with YouTube. So I'm literally I'm not only celebrating New Year's when I do, I'm celebrating 1 year on carnivore when when the new year happens, and so I'm always going to remember on how good this life was, on how much better this life was than, from a year ago. And it's, I'm not a very emotional person, but I get very, like, and sometimes I wonder, like, why don't anybody else see this? Like, it takes being in the community for them to see it, but
Yeah. Well, I sometimes I do get emotional, and I'll try to do this without getting emotional because I usually do. And I'll close with this because I'm going to need to go if you don't mind.
no,
Um,
no problem. We're gonna end it very soon. So you do your thing, I'll do my thing, and then
yeah, what I'm going to close with is something that is truly priceless. Um, there was a time that I was sitting in the car and I'm talking with Marcia. We're kind of joking and laughing, and she just looks at me, and just her face has got so peaceful and says, "It is so good to have my Tim back."
oh yeah,
That's what eating carnivore did for us.
yeah,
Because when I was having the mental issues and whatnot, and I didn't know how bad it was. And to have her, finally to have her Tim back,
yeah.
is priceless.
That's that's carnivore. That's what we all achieve for. That's what we all achieve for. So that was actually a pretty good closing, Tim. So I'm going to end it there. I'm just going to say my final words that everybody knows: live, love, heal, and for God's sakes, people, do we need to make it any clearer? Eat the meat.